Hey, Wealth Builders, it's me, Shaq,
And Akiva.
and welcome back to another episode of The Bemuse. And on this channel, we talk about all things personal finance for young adults just like you and us.
So for any of that kind of stuff, go on ahead and hit that big red subscribe button. And while you're at it, click the notification bell so you never miss when we post new valuable videos just like this one. And today we have a special guest. Woo, give it up for our special guest. Yes, so we all know Juneteenth is coming on up. It is around the corner. So we thought we'd drop a special video this week in honor of this very special holiday. And so we're going to be celebrating Black wealth today, you guys. So we have a special guest here who loves reading a lot more than Mishak or I probably do. And so we decided to talk about a special book today, and that's why we have her on. So we will have you introduce yourself to the people, and then we'll dive right in.
Hey y'all, I'm Jeff. I'm on YouTube. My channel name is Dreaded and Redded. And I basically just, talk about books, do book reviews, book discussions. I really like Afrofuturism and like a lot of fantasy type books. But the book that that I read for this, it wasn't like about that, but it was still really good. But I mean, y'all should just go, subscribe and stuff. It's a good time.
Yeah. Tell them your slogan because I like it. What you say at the beginning of all your videos?
Oh, before we get started, Black Lives Do Have Always Matter. There are no links. But remember, it is our responsibility to protect Black women every single day. Period.
Yes. There we go. And with that said, the book that we kind of centered this discussion around today is the book Black Fortunes by Shomari Wills. If you have not heard of that book or have not read the book, we will have a link to it in the description box below where you can go and pick that up. But essentially, and before we get into the book, first of all, if you guys don't know what Juneteenth is, let's just lay some groundwork while we're talking about Juneteenth, while we're celebrating it, what it's about. So Juneteenth, essentially, it is a holiday that commemorates the emancipation of enslaved people in the United States, kind of the unofficial emancipation date once the news kind of got spread to everywhere that needed to go. Back in that time, communication was real slow. So that's why we celebrate Juneteenth on June 19th each and every year in the United States. And so it is a time for us to come together, celebrate Black excellence, specifically African American excellence. And so we're going to talk about Black wealth today. We're going to talk about Black Fortunes, which highlights the stories of the 6 first African American millionaires. It's kind of in the 1800s, a little bit before slavery was ended, and people who really were able to thrive in that season. And I want to be very clear on the lens that we all bring to this discussion and to this table, because I know, we're doing this in honor of Juneteenth, which is specifically an African American holiday. We're highlighting in this book, we're highlighting stories of African Americans who were, either enslaved or newly freed people in the United States. I personally, my family is not from the United States. We're from the Caribbean, same ship, different stop. It's all right. So just being clear about that, though, that I don't consider myself necessarily African American, but African American history is very entwined in our history as a diaspora, as Black people who now reside and live in the United States. So I just want to be clear about that as well.
Yeah. As a Haitian woman, I still celebrate Juneteenth. It's all our right. It's all our. If we one win, we all win. So it is what it is.
Absolutely. There were 6 stories that were interwoven throughout the whole thing. I know there was Mary Ellen Pleasant, Robert Reed Church, O.W. Gurley, Hannah Elias, Annie Turbo Malone, and Madam C.J. Walker. So were there any stories in particular that were your faves?
Okay, so 2. So first it was Church because I don't know, it was something, so Ida B. Wells was writing her little stories, and she was like, so these Black people, yeah, you're rich, but what about the rest of us? And then he really took that to heart, and he really like was sending her money and helping her, and he took that to heart, and he really made a change with the wealth that he had. And then there was Madam C.J. Walker, because I knew about her, and they just tell you she's the first Black millionaire, but it was just like she was the first Black millionaire who didn't care and who wanted to flaunt it. Like, these other people didn't know how to manage their finances, and they didn't know, they were scared because they thought that, you know, they would be killed for proving that they had money, but she just didn't care. And I was like, hot girl summer, because period, you earned it, it's yours. But her husband did her so dirty. Ooh, child. But yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna give away the whole book in this. So, you know, y'all gotta go read it for yourselves. It was some really good stories in there. My personal favorite was Mary Ellen Pleasant's story, because I think sis was a hustler and she was out there doing the thing and creating opportunities and really just capitalizing on the opportunities that she had. So I really love that story. And, you know, as we kind of go through, we can talk about the lessons that we've learned that we can apply to our personal finances as well. So, I mean, where Mary Ellen Pleasant is concerned, like I said, this was a hustler. I was writing notes when I was reading this book. I was just writing down all the lessons, all the things.
Yes.
All the things.
If you guys can tell, I didn't read the book, but I have made notes. So, but I will read the book.
Please do. It was so good.
Yeah, it was. And so I wrote down 10 lessons I learned just from Mary Ellen Pleasant's story. So I didn't even touch the other 5 in terms of lessons learned that I wanted to share. But you know, Mary Ellen Pleasant, she had an interesting life. Honestly, it was like, you know, she got shipped off to Nantucket with the intention of somebody being able to send her to school, teach her how to read. People took the parents' money and never sent her to school, right? But yet sis still thrived, right? Like, look at where her life ended up. She ended up thriving and being a multi-millionaire over the course of her life, doing a lot of good. And even by the time she died, still had, you know, a good little fortune for herself. So one of the lessons that told me was, you know, I have no excuse not to succeed. That's what that told me.
Quick commercial break. We created this new, fun, free quiz for you all to help determine how your finances are doing and give you resources and tools to help you with your financial journey. If you want to take this quiz, the link is down in the description box and pinned in the first comment under this video. Now, back to the conversation. I would say something that I gained or that I learned from the little bit of story that I heard, really not to trust people as much as I would say her family trusted the people that they sent her to. You know, they sent her there, as Akiva mentioned, and was sending money to them. And I don't know, I guess technology obviously wasn't a thing back then, but it doesn't seem like they even checked up to see if their money was going to what it was supposed to. You know, they were bamboozling the family, as far as I'm concerned, had her working in their shop, and she kind of had to really just fend for herself.
Yeah, so that's another lesson: trust but verify. When it comes to your money, definitely trust but verify. One of the reasons, though, she was able to, you know, make the most out of the situation, though, was even in that she was a calculated woman. Like, she learned, she studied people, she studied human behavior and psychology. She set herself up, planted herself in opportunities to win, succeed, right? That benefited her in so many different areas. That got her a husband, a whole husband, got her so many different investment deals and opportunities and all kinds of stuff. Like, the power of just knowing human behavior and psychology and how to translate it to wealth building opportunities was another.
The power of like social and emotional intelligence as well. Because like, yeah, you can go to school and know everything, but if you don't know how to talk to people and you don't know how to read body language and make the most with what you have, because yeah, she didn't have a lot, but she managed to get so much, and that was just because she knew how to talk to people. And that just means like that's so important.
It wasn't like she was just looking for a come up. She was looking for her step to get her where she wanted to go, where she needed to go, and to fuel the end cause. You know, for her, it wasn't just about finding a sugar daddy. She got all this money and you going and spending it on all kinds of trivial stuff. She took that money and did some things with it, made a huge difference in the world with the money that she was able to get as a result of her marriage to this man. And so that was the end game for her. You know what I'm saying? She always had a goal or end game in mind.
She did so much for her community. It was, yes, she took that money and she did so much good with it. So I can't even be mad at how she got it. It was hers at the end of the day. He married her.
The lesson of like, even if you are fortunate enough or blessed enough to have money given to you, and in her case, it was through the death of her husband, you know, less than 2 years after they got married, and she got, you know, that his estate as, you know, his widow. That's not an excuse to squander it. She took that and did did a lot with it. So just the fact that you get money isn't an excuse to squander it. That was my lesson from that too. It's even more of a reason to try to do something good with it, to try to multiply it, to try to make that dollar have lasting impact. Other lessons learned. Multiple streams of income. Definitely.
Yes.
Sis was doing everything to make it.
Thing.
Yeah, she had her investment. She was peddling silver. She was hosting catering parties, all kinds of stuff. Then eventually she used that money, opened a laundromat service, opened a boarding house. She just expanded, took her start and just expanded all these different areas.
That car service.
Yeah, like doing all kinds of stuff. So that to me was inspirational, showing that multiple streams of income definitely important. Side hustling, doing whatever you got to do, making sure you have multiple streams of income is really important.
Have to.
Yeah, even if it's not, a business of your own, just trying to find a way to have at least something coming in on top of maybe your 9-to-5 income, because yeah, diversification, right? It's important. Yeah. All right, one thing I want to talk about, and maybe we'll get into a bit more of a discussion on this, is the responsibility your responsibility as a Black wealth holder. They touched on that a bit in her story as well, and the controversy that was going on. It was kind of thought of back then as a binary thing. You could either be for the movement, for the cause of freeing the slaves, or you could be wealthy. It's like there was no combining the two. And that's what she tried a lot to do in her career as well, over her life, really using the money she had and putting that toward abolitionist movements, a lot of stuff. So that was something that I really wrestled with a lot. It was like, as Black people, when you make it, what is your responsibility? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that to answer that question, we also have to take into account when like her story was being told, because it was during like integration, and they didn't know if they even wanted to integrate, and then Plessy versus Ferguson eventually became a thing, and then they were like, well, you're separate but equal, but you still can't integrate. So it was like, I feel like in that perspective, when the people were saying that you can either be either or, it was just based on their surroundings. Like that's all they knew. They didn't know that you could find the middle ground. Like when W.E.B. Du Bois was talking about like assimilating and becoming a part of your culture, he got so much like backlash for that. And he was right. You have to stand out, but you also have to know how to like be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my answer. I think that if you are a Black wealth holder, it's your money, you worked for it, but I do think that there is some responsibility for you to make opportunities for people who look like you to make it, just because in the book they were saying how it's hard for us to make it because everything that we have to fight like against us. So I just feel like if we know how hard it was, when we have money, it's our job to make it easier for someone else. But it's like our responsibility, but if we don't do it, we can't be mad. It's like our responsibility, but not our accountability. You know what I'm saying? We're not accountable, but we should, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I guess
you feel. You agree? Am I tripping?
Yeah, I agree. I also think that, the same struggles that existed back then, I think have only been magnified and slightly altered today. I think today, that there is some sort of responsibility that as a person of color that you want to help bring people along. But then I can't help but think that then you start getting thoughts that swirl around, well, I made it, but, how do I bring someone else along? It's uncharted territory. Like, what you did to make your money, but how do I help Akiva, who is in this industry? And I don't know anything about that. Or, am I looking at it from maybe I'm being a little selfish? Like, I partner with Akiva, but I'm getting a lot of this benefit. So am I really doing anything if I'm really so it's just so many things that swirl around when you get into, I think, that topic. But I would say the underlying thing is just to do whatever you can. I think this is like the one situation where intention is really important. Usually I say, like, people, don't judge you by your intentions, they judge you by your actions. There is a little bit of that, but I think that if your heart is in the right place and your mind is in the right place and you're truly trying to build up your community, that, this is the time that you'd get a pass on that, where you're not going to get it right. Or maybe you will, but I'm assuming that you might not get it right, but at least trying to help is the right direction that someone who's in that position of color should do.
Right.
But how do you help though? I guess like what are some practical ways in which you could reach back, in which you could help?
So what we can do today, I think network, like what we're doing now. Having discussions about it, so that people are aware that these people existed, and tell their stories. I think that that's one thing that we can do.
I think Nipsey Hussle had like the best business model, business practice when it comes to that. He, like, rest his soul, but he had that corner on Slauson Ave where it was just, he bought it out and he was hiring his friends and he was like all money in, no money out. Like he was making sure that his people were employed and the people he grew up with were his bodyguards and their friends were making money, and like he had his people working, and through that he was, of course, like you said, he was able to network and able to sell his mixtapes for $100 because he knew people were going to buy it, and he was able to talk about crypto and business and get community centers started because he knew the importance of just keeping all the money within ourselves. And I think that that's one of the biggest things we have to do. Like we have the services and we have everything that we're looking for to get from other companies. There's somebody who's Black who makes that. And it's like, we just have to not be afraid to spend the money. Like we have to not be afraid of recycling the money within our community, because we'd rather pay something cheaper because we'll get it faster than just paying that extra $50-$60 for this small owned business, like this small Black owned business. Like we just have to remember that if one of us make it, we all make it. So we just got to keep all the money within us. But
Yeah, I was watching a video the other day that had some statistics about the Black dollar and how quickly it leaves the Black bubble, compared to other racial groups where it's like, the Jewish community and the Asian community and the white community, how long that dollar circulates within their sphere before, going outside. And with the Black community, it was like some ridiculously low number, like a few hours or a couple of days or something like that, versus like 17 days on the other end, more 20 days, whatever it was. If I find that, I will definitely link that in the description box below. But yeah, keeping the Black dollar is circling in our communities, and that's something that personally I've thought a lot about and is trying to do more of. Whether that means opening or doing financial services with the Black owned bank, whether that means just in your spending, supporting a Black business, in your philanthropy, supporting Black organizations or organizations that benefit the welfare of Black people. Whatever that looks like, there's so many ways in which we can keep wealth and grow wealth within the Black community, as well as, of course, things like what we do here, like education. And just learning for yourself, and basically it's kind of like each one teach one. The more you learn, the more you know, the more you can teach someone else, so that everybody can succeed.
I will say that it's important to give to Black businesses that have the same goal in mind, because we are not all created equal. There are some Black businesses out there that, yes, they have the Black owned business sticker on everything that they do, but their intention is not the same as you and I or as others. It's really just about self and not to employ other Black people to keep that Black dollar circulating in the community. It's to do whatever it is that they want to do, and that's fine. I'm not saying not to support them, but just to be mindful of what their purpose and their true intention is.
The legacy piece that we haven't even addressed yet in this conversation, it's like, yes, managing your money well throughout your life, building that wealth, it's important, it's great, it's necessary, but it does no good if, it's not then, if it gets all squandered because of something something silly, you know what I'm saying, or because it wasn't adequately protected, or left to the right people. So that's another whole portion of the story that's very important in when it comes to wealth building. So yeah, definitely, estate planning is important. Make sure your money's going to the right people who aren't going to squander it. Education is important, so that way you don't unintentionally make a bad decision and give away all this money, give away all these assets. You got to be careful. Not to say that everything's gonna be perfect. Things aren't gonna be perfect. We all gonna slip up at one point or another. We gonna lose some money on a deal here or there, but you really just have to be smart about it and be vigilant and your due diligence, because stuff like that happens, and nobody's gonna look out for your money like you. So nobody's gonna do better, right? So you gotta do that for yourself. There's people out there who intentionally to do good. So gotta be
sad to say it, but our history might not, or teachings haven't been the best. Like, you hear about Madam C.J. Walker, but I knew nothing about these other individuals. And I did not know about Madam C.J. Walker's story. Like, all you hear is that she is the first, billionaire, but you don't, millionaire, African-American millionaire, but you don't really know anything else, or at least I was not taught, and I never really, looked for anything more. So I think that this will be a really good opportunity to see what it was like for these people who really had to be really resourceful. They didn't have social media, like you mentioned, the FBI person in your pocket to help you with advertising, to get in front of those eyeballs. Like, this was really bootstrapping it and really pulling their business up the best way that they could. So Jeff, thank you so much for joining us in this very special episode. We'll definitely link her channel down below for you guys to check that out. Like always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe. Is that how we say it? Don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss when we post new content, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.